It's time for 4 picks, 1 word. I think you know how to do it. I give you 4 pictures. You try and work out what the word is that I want you to guess. And then you guess it and I tell you what it is. As easy as that. All right, let's get started. We're going to start today with a very important question. It might seem like a silly question. It kind of is a silly question, but the answer is important. So here's the question for you. There'll be some thinking music for you to ponder this for a little while. Here's my question. Why aren't undies made out of glass? This question to quite a few classes of preps, sometimes to older kids too. Some of you kids in grade 1 and 2 might remember this question from when I asked you in prep. But the thing is, as you get older, or even just it doesn't matter what age you are, the more you think about this question, the more reasons there are for why we don't make undies out of glass. So I'm hoping that you've thought of a few reasons and maybe you could actually send them in to me, but I'm going to tell you a couple of reasons that kids have told me in the past. So one of the things about glass that we all know about is that it's hard. Now if you had undies that were hard, that would be really difficult to get them on, and it would be kind of uncomfortable as well, right? Another thing we know about glass is that it's a bit cold. So imagine wearing undies made out of glass. Even if you could get them on, then they'd be cold on your bottom. That wouldn't be very comfortable. One kid once said to me that the biggest problem is that they're transparent. So if you decide to do an undie run around your house, everyone's going to be able to see your bottom. I hadn't ever actually contemplated that as one of the problems with having glass undies, but now that that child mentioned it, they're very right. That would be a big problem. Alright, glass is also brittle, which means that it breaks really easily. And you don't want to be wearing glass undies and then you sit down and they break, because you could get cut by the glass. So that's also another reason why we don't make glass undies. Glass is also very rigid, which means it holds its shape. It's a bit stiff. So if you went to try and put glass undies on, it's not like they would kind of be flexible around your body. They would just be hard to get up because the shape wouldn't be right to get over your legs, would it? So the fact that glass is rigid is another reason why we don't make undies out of glass. I'm sure you can think of some other reasons. You should ask your parents. You should ask mum and dad, why don't they make undies out of glass, and see what they say, okay? Welcome back to Race the Reveal. It's time for another animal. You know the deal. Little pictures come up, you guess what the animal is, and then at the end, I'll tell you what it was. Now I've made a story for you. There's no pictures, it's just a story. It looks like this. It's not actually a real book. Inside is just, let's see, some words. But I wrote a little story for you. I'm going to read it to you now. And today you're actually going to be writing your very own silly story. Well, hello. I read you the whole story and then didn't realize the camera had run out of battery, so I'm back again on another day to read it to you again. Once upon a silly time. Okay. Once upon a time, Norman built an aeroplane out of cardboard. Now, you and I probably know that aeroplanes are not usually made out of cardboard. You are probably thinking that they are normally made out of metal and other sorts of things like that. But Norman did not know about choosing the correct materials for the job. The aeroplane looked incredible. It had cardboard seats and wheels in all the right places, propellers to help thrust the plane forward, and long cardboard wings to provide lift for the plane to take off into the air. However, it wasn't long before he began to realize that perhaps cardboard was not the best material to make an aeroplane out of. His wife came out to have a look at the finished aeroplane and oohed and ahed about how beautiful it was. But when she went to sit in the cardboard passenger seat, it was not strong enough to hold her weight, and she fell straight through it onto the bottom of the aeroplane. Norman scratched his head and thought that perhaps he might need something stronger to make the seats out of. That night, when the wet weather rolled in, rain poured down onto Norman's aeroplane. When he awoke the next day and headed out to test the plane, he found that the cardboard had absorbed all the rain and was now soggy and floppy. The wings sagged so much that they touched the ground, and the tail sort of tore off and lay on the grass. Norman sat down heavily and munched on a carrot. He murmured. It's clear to me that I am going to need to choose a much better material for my next aeroplane. You were probably thinking the same thing. I bet you have a whole bunch of great suggestions for materials to build an aeroplane out of. I know! Norman ran excitedly to tell his wife that he'd thought of the perfect material for the next one. I'm going to build the next one out of wax. And that is the end of the story. So this week, Preps 1s and 2s, your job is to write me a Once Upon a Silly Time story. Now, if you're in grade 2, you are probably an excellent writer by now. I know some of you are just fantastic with your stories. I've seen them. I've seen your beginnings, middles, and ends. I've seen that fantastic adjectives you use. So go for it. Write me the best story you can about someone who built something out of a strange material. I've had kids write me stories about houses built of wax and when the sun came out they melted, or about balls made out of stone, and you can pick any material, anything, but they've got to be the wrong material. If you're in prep, this might be a bit hard for you. You might like to draw some pictures of something made out of the wrong kind of material, and then you could talk to mum and dad or grandma or grandpa, whoever you see around the place. You can talk to them about why that's the wrong type of material and why that's a silly thing to make it out of. Okay, I'll see you next week. See you later.